I'm certainly not trying to frighten anyone, but it's just something that everyone needs to look for and to consider. It could be growing right now in the home that you rent or own. It could be growing in the home that you're about to purchase. I'm going to show you the warning signs, how to find it, how to look for it, and most importantly, how to get rid of it if it's in your home. Now, they say every home has a little bit in it, but it's when you can really start to smell it is when it can become toxic. I'm talking about mold, black mold. But here's the thing you have to understand. You don't always see it and you don't always smell it. So you just have to know if a structure, a house, a home, apartment that you currently live in or that you're about to purchase has had water in that property. And listen to me, water in the property and didn't have any electricity on, meaning no AC. And if that temperature in that house got 83 to 85 degrees, you can rest assured within hours, mold is gonna set in. So I'm gonna show you exactly what to do to get rid of it, how to find it, how to fix it, have it professionally abated, and to have it tested to make sure you're not smelling that stuff. Now, if you haven't already done so, you may want to subscribe to the channel. My name is Wayne Turner. For nearly 30 years, I've done just about everything when it comes to real estate. Buying, flipping, selling, investing, you name it. I've helped thousands of people all around the country when it comes to real estate. I just share that with you so you can have the confidence and comfort knowing that what I share with you and what you'll learn from me is from actual tried and true, boots on the ground, hands-on experience. Now, there's the obvious warning signs when you smell that dirt, dusty, moldy, mildewy, musky smell, right? Of course, you smell that and you think, oh, what's wrong? What's going on? Something's growing, right? But what happens is this. You purchase a property or you just rent a property and it smells new. Everything's new. It looks new. Everything's been cleaned up. You have to know and do a little research on the property. And here's how you do that. You find out, was that home a foreclosure? Was that home ever damaged? Was it flooded? Did it ever have a roof leak? You have to ask these questions of people and hopefully they're honest with you. Unfortunately, that's not always the case. And sometimes people just don't know. They're the owner of the property. They bought it. It was a foreclosure. It sat empty for 3 years. Well, how do you know this stuff? The best way and the best thing you can do is to get out and talk to the neighbors. Talk to the people around the neighborhood, immediately on the house, and ask them, did they ever have a tree fall on it? Look around for tree stumps to see if a tree may have fallen. Ask them, has the house ever flooded? Did y'all ever flood? Is there anything that would cause water intrusion in that property? And listen, at the end of the day, if there's remotely any sign of water intrusion in a property, it's really simple to have it tested. You can buy like in-home test kits. I'll put a link below, or you can have a professional person come out. Now, what they do is they'll come out, or these test kits, you have to take air samples and air quality samples. And once they take those air samples are actually sent off to labs, and a laboratory will test not just if it's mold or the type of mold or how much the percentage of the mold. Here's where it gets really good. Those tests can tell you where the highest concentration of mold is growing in your house. Now, as I mentioned, they have these tests that you can purchase, Lowe's, Home Depot. I'll put a link below. You can purchase one, just a simple click. That's going to tell you, and you can send off, and that's going to tell you whether or not you have mold. But here's what's really important to know. If you really want to know, hire a professional. They're going to come out, they're going to take air samples, they're going to take air quality samples, and it's going to cost you anywhere from $500 to $1,000. But they're going to tell you specifically where the most and highest concentration of moisture is and mold is growing in the house. I'll tell you a quick story. I've sold a house one time. It smelled a little musty, didn't know where it was coming from, had it tested. After the home was tested, now you couldn't see anything. This is a beautiful home, beautifully painted. It's happened to many times. I could tell you dozens and dozens of stories why I want to get this video out so people can know if you smell that musty smell, it's not a bad idea to get your house checked, because this stuff can really make you sick, especially if you have asthma. It can even affect your animals. So back to the story. House was clean, it was painted, it looked beautiful, but it had that musty smell. Well, come to find out, the test results came back and said it's in this room, it's in this room, it's in this room. It was probably a leak from around the chimney. They started pulling sheetrock off. Thousands of dollars later, but most importantly, it got rid of all of that. They had to have it professionally abated, professionally removed and remediated, all of that stuff. But I'm going to tell you, it was rooms that were full of black mold. So just a quick reminder, if you haven't already done so, give us a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. It lets me know that what we're producing is actually good information and you like what you're seeing and actually learning something. So listen, grab a pen and a piece of paper. There's more. Now, if you're thinking about purchasing a house, you're looking to buy a house and it's a bank-owned home, sometimes the smell can be obvious. Sometimes it can't. Sometimes you're buying a house and somebody's flipping that house and you just don't know. You just smell fresh and new paint. Sometimes it is a little obvious. You can smell it or see it. Most importantly, when in doubt, get it tested. If you remotely see a little bit of soft wood, a little bit of rotted wood, you always want to check for eaves, soffits, overhangs, around doors. Literally, you want to look for water. Anywhere water can intrude or come into the property, and if that electricity's been off for so much as a day in the spring and summer months, mold can set in, and when it sets in, it grows. Now, once you find this stuff, it's not that hard to get it out, and it's not that hard or expensive, if you will, to have it removed and remediated. However, it's going to make a mess. They got to remove sheetrock, and they have to treat the studs in the walls, remove insulation, remove all of that. The unfortunate thing that happens with a lot of people, especially houses that get water in them, and I've seen this happen, is they will remove the sheetrock and they'll spray it with bleach and then put the sheetrock right back. It has to be professionally remediated. The remediation companies, they spray it with a chemical, they let it air out. They open up doors, windows, they let that thing air out. Then they put another sealant on it that they literally, it looks like paint almost. They put this sealant on it. And when they put that sealant on it, they still let that dry. And then they put the sheetrock back and then they paint. It has to, it's a process. So many people cut sheetrock out of a house, spray it with a little bleach, slap the sheetrock back on and call it a day, and people walk around going, why does your house smell like a basement? And look, I'm not talking about those nice, sexy, beautiful home basements. I'm talking about a crawl space, a dirt area where there's physical dirt to be seen. That's that odor, that smell that you're looking for. This is what you have to know when you're buying a house that's a foreclosure, for example. That bank has not lived in the property, and that bank is exempt from filling out the property condition disclosure form where they say, has there ever been any water intrusion in the property, any roof leaks, any fires, any tornadoes, no trees falling in the house. They just check one little box and say, we don't know, we just took the property back. That's why it's so important when you're buying any kind of a foreclosure, especially because you may not see it, you may not even smell it, but you just don't know how long a foreclosure has sat empty, vacant, with no one in it, no one paying attention to it, and water has set in, it's growing in the walls, and you have no idea. Now look, it does not have to be a foreclosure, and you need to really pay attention to this, because there's homes that are pre-existing where people live in. They put them on the market to sell. They fill out their property condition disclosure form because it's required, because they live in the house, they own the home, it's their personal residence. It says on there, have you had any kind of leaks, water intrusion, anything like that on the property? Yeah, we had a tree fall on it, had a little bit of a leak. Well, that leak has been a pain in their butt for the last 3 to 4 years. And so they think they fix it and it'll come back. And they think they fix it and it'll come back. Here's what happens. When water gets in the attic, mold will grow 100% of the time if it's not abated. So what happens is water gets in through the attic, then it runs down the walls. You see it on the walls, you make sure it's fine, you wipe it off, then it stains a little bit, then you paint it. It's like putting lipstick on a pig. But what you have to know that when water gets in the home, especially if it's in the attic, it's not cooled up there. Every attic, they're hot. And so what happens every single time when you got water stagnant, it keeps sitting on those boards, those roof rafters, absolutely mold will set in every time. Now, something else to look for. We sold a house one time and the bathroom smelled a little musty. The home inspector went underneath the house. It was on a raised home, a crawl space, and come to find out, the sewer line wasn't connected to the tub drain. So every time a bath was taken, it was dumped into the crawl space. Now, here's what really makes it bad. You got a crawl space, which is typically pretty cool and comfy, if you will. They don't get real hot in crawl spaces. However, they will if your dryer vent is going down into the crawl space and it becomes disconnected. Yeah, we had mold everywhere because of hot air from the dryer was being pumped into the crawl space, and every time someone took a bath, it was dumping water into the crawl space. The result, there was mold everywhere. And look, don't think new construction's even better. Moved into a brand new house one time, everything was great. I didn't have it inspected. I always tell people new construction, have them inspected too. I didn't have the property inspected. I just thought, I went through plumbing, went through electrical, went through a frame, it's good to go, right? Closed on the house, moved in. 6 months later, I smell that same musty smell in my bathroom, and I'm thinking, no way. Get under the crawl space, sure enough, the shower pan was not connected to the sewer drain. Luckily enough, mold or mildew had not set in and it was an easy fix, but that's just a prime example. If you smell anything, and listen, new construction is not exempt. I had an issue, I've seen issues. I've seen builders build houses and the subcontractor come in and put insulation and sheetrock before the roof gets on. It rains that afternoon, and next thing you know, you've got water everywhere in the house. And when you got all that water, you're gonna have mold. Now, I've talked about roof leaks and flood and water intrusion and all that, but here's what happens. It's not always just on the inside of the house. You can have water, if it's in your mulch bed, for example, and you're on a slab house. Well, that water is gonna sit on that mulch, and that mulch, if it touches your stucco, your brick, your vinyl siding, or any of that, that water can act as a wick. You see, there's a slab of concrete when homes are built on a slab, and then there's what they call the bottom plate. That's a treated board, right? So that is a pressure treated board that's made to not rot if it gets wet, but it's not made to not grow mold. Now, the first step in the process, if you think there's been any kind of moisture intrusion in the property, is to contact a home inspector and ask them if they have any moisture detecting devices. They have probes and moisture meters, and they can come out and say, yeah, there seems to be some moisture in this wall. Oftentimes, it's so hard to locate. Water takes the path of least resistance, and you can't locate that, but a good home inspector will kind of give you a roundabout area. You can then purchase a test kit yourself online, or have a professional company come in and test it. As I'd mentioned, they'll send off for it, and they'll show you exactly how much mold is in the house itself and where specifically is the heaviest concentration of the mold. But here's the word of the wise. You got to know this. Always, always, if they say they can find it and fix it, say next and move on. You don't want anybody that's going to come into your house and test it for mold. And oh, by the way, we also do the work. You need somebody that's an inspection company. That's all they do is inspect for mold, and home inspections and plumbing inspections. And all of these guys are great. They'll come in and inspect it. But you don't want somebody that's inspecting the property that's also going to fix the property, if you get what I mean. So my name's Wayne Turner. Thank you for watching. Once again, give me a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. Until next time, make it a great day, and God bless you.